We are back today with episode 7, Integration of Emerging Technologies. Hey Jazz, welcome back.
Hi Dev. How are you? Glad to be back.
Doing great. Okay, so let's dive in today. So, we're going to talk about digital transformation towards the maturity roadmap and integration of emerging technology is going to be our focus area around those 4 pillars we always discuss: environmental, cost, operational efficiency, and customer experience.
Sounds good.
So let's discuss how do technologies like AI and IoT contribute to environmental sustainability. And AI and IoT. And is AI still emerging? It's been a year and a half. Maybe like ChatGPT was announced and it has really moved the whole world. So I believe it's already very mature. Of course, it has a long way to go, but it has already changed the world, how we work, how we see the technology, and how we use the technology and be more productive than ever. So, of course, in the back end, the processes and the computing power it uses, that's huge. It's very power hungry. But talking about specifically like how it contributes to sustainability, of course it does, because if it uses the power, if it uses the compute energy, but still on the other side, it helps a lot to improve on efficiency, to influence the outcome, and to reduce overall efforts on the business. So what I say, power grids and IoT sensors with AI are highly capable to customize and optimize power usage and help reduce waste and reduce emissions. A global company, Hitachi, have teamed up with Rainforest Connection to help protect forests using AI and sound sensors. It's very interesting to see like how those sensors listen to sounds and waves and different tech in the forest, like chainsaws, like anything illegal logging or whatever, like what can go wrong in the forests. So it does detects the signals, predict any illegal stuff, and notifies the authorities so they can respond quickly and protect the environment. Very interesting story. And yeah, it's with Rainforest Connection. You guys can read that. And on the other side, I am also exploring in the marketing, like how it's a very smart and digital personalization tool. I would keep the name confidential for now because I'm not marketing any tool at this point. But that tool uses AI and help run smarter marketing campaigns by focusing on the right audience to deliver the right content at the right time where the users are. Very interesting. And it's driven by AI, it's driven by highly intelligent algorithms. It also validates and optimizes leads data quality, which is very interesting because leads quality is so important. It can ruin your marketing campaigns and affects your cost if the quality of data is wrong. So this tool, and that helps businesses to save time, use fewer resources, and get better results. Listeners, if you are interested to know what tool is this and how can influence your marketing output, DM me and just I will share that information with you also for your reference. I mean, very beautiful and smart tool it is.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, we talk about the whole like this thing called agentic AI, which is buzzing right now, which is
Mm.
combination of all the different AI tools working together or the AI agents working together collaboratively, training themselves, training each other, and learning from each other's mistakes as well to improve the flow. I mean, for sure, I mean, AI is not new, but I think with the whole generative AI, it's sort of like changed the game and speed up the advancement quite a bit more. You know, like you said, there is a huge environmental factor at play. I mean, of course, on one hand, you're saying that the AI will use a lot more fuel, a lot more energy. But then on the other hand, AI can absolutely help in terms of fuel efficiency. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. But I personally think that overall, there should be a bit more of upside to it, you know, as it improves itself. Like, you know, they definitely can optimize things like delivery routes for logistics, as well as transport to minimize fuel consumption, for example. We can also use AI to predict the more efficient use of fuel and battery in itself to reduce wastage. It's like just finding the most optimal way of getting something done. And of course, the environmental monitoring will also benefit things.
Very interesting. Yeah, I am learning AI. I mean, I know a lot already about the AI, but every day when I get more into that, I freaked out that it's very interesting to change the way we think about the work we and how can we leverage this. I heard long ago like AI will replace humans in a lot many jobs.
Yeah.
It may be true.
I
It
mean,
may be,
maybe. I think it's not
yeah.
like it will displace some job roles. Which is why then I think companies need to really prepare their workforce quite early on in the game, right? I actually talked about this recently this month during the FinX conference, where I talk a bit about the digital transformation and why companies are still behind the game. Why till now we're still not keeping up? Why we are still not preparing our workforce ahead of time, and then looking at the displacement of humans or people in their job roles, when this whole digitalization started like a decade ago. And now with AI, it's the same thing all over again. It's almost, I think it's like an excuse almost. I think it's not something that you can use that as an excuse anymore. Because things are
Exactly.
just changing, and companies really need to keep up. You can't ignore the AI factor. You can't pretend that it's not happening. You can't just say that, okay, I'll just do it later. You can't push it back because things are moving so fast right now. So companies need to bring their workforce, try to see if how they can use it in a safe and secure environment instead of just pretending to be an ostrich in the sand, and stopping your employees from experimenting with it, but give them an environment, a sandbox to experiment with it in a safe and secure way without leaking out
Hmm.
your confidential data, But if we look at marketing, like you talk a bit about marketing, I think there's a lot of waste when it comes to marketing events, even hospitality. There is so much food wastage when we talk about buffets and catering for events. If we use a smart combination of AI as well as data correctly, we should be able to better predict dropout rates for events and buffets at hotels and reduce so much food wastage, which will help the environment as well. And not to say like looking at the natural disasters and whether we can better predict based on what's in the air, the quality, even the nature of how the animals are behaving as a response or prediction to natural disasters. That probably could also save a lot of efforts in terms of preventive measures to fight against like the forest fires, to look at the hurricanes that are coming, which then destroy so much of our nature, our homes, and lead to so much rebuilding efforts, which is again a lot of waste. Yeah,
Right on the spot because
yeah,
where I live in California,
yeah,
we like every other year we have like wildfire problems. At one point, like a couple years ago, the
yeah.
wildfire, we got evacuation warning. Like we were notified to get ready with your luggages and everything that you want to take away because like the fire was literally half a mile away from my home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, see, AI can really detect those signals and like yeah,
Mm,
there's a lot.
mm,
And again, like I would come back to that point, like AI may take jobs, but I think like since like at that point when that statement came out, nobody really predicted like people will keep up as well. And like now everyone is using AI at this point. What I believe, and I have also heard people talking about it, it's not like AI will replace people. It's like AI will replace people who don't know how to use it.
mm,
So, like at every job, at every role, at every process, we can increase our efficiency with using AI and can still be resilient. in this point, like if AI technology uses the energy and power and it's more resources consuming, but on the other side, it helps improve productivity and increase efficiency of companies as well. So
Mm,
it's a trade-off, but overall, it benefits and make the world move faster.
for sure.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So let's move on to the financial aspect. What are the financial risks and rewards of adopting emerging technologies? You also mentioned, I think, a couple episodes before that early adopters of technologies are guinea pigs, and it's always risky for those adopters, right? Because
Mm,
we never know how positive or negatively it'll impact the business. So, but it's a risk worth taking with an understanding that yes, a calculated risk is good and it will improve on efficiency because the new technologies are always like better than the before ones, right? So, of course, there is an upfront cost, there is a risk involved, there is infrastructure requirement, training staff, and a lot of integrations. Because these days, like it's not like one-stop shop everywhere. Only big giant companies like Google, Adobe, Oracle can do a lot of stuff, but still, like there are a lot of options available. So there is an upfront cost and integrations effort required. So I would say it's not a risk, but it's an investment, early investment that businesses should or can do to scale. That's an option. But of course, since change is always tough, from that aspect, it brings in a little risk to adopt the new process. On the other side, at scale, it opens up windows for cyber attacks. There are risks involved on data privacy because new technologies are not so mature on the regulation side, and there are impact. I mean, if anything goes wrong, uh, there have to be like solid contracts in place to make sure businesses are safe to those complications. And just yesterday, I come to know there was an outage with Slack, the popular cloud-based messaging platform. Everyone uses that. Everyone knows it's not a stranger name anymore. But not sure if you heard about that outage. It stayed there for about 10 hours. A
mm,
lot of people, there was a lot of chaos on the internet yesterday. Yeah, sitting in the Bay Area, I was like more aware of this problem because people are literally talking about it. I mean, even I'm not very active on Slack, but I know my colleagues, my friends, like there are a lot of people use Slack and like it was all over the social media. So it impacts reputation and branding and reliability to the users level, to the business level. So all these risks. Slack is not new. It's not no more emerging, but still Slack is evolving. They may be using technology in the back. It was some database related issue, but they may be using new technologies or some integrations got wrong. I'm not fully sure what the reason is, but again, like it impacts branding, it impacts reputation and trust and reliability. 10 hours long outage is too long for mission critical businesses. So yeah, that's a good example to consider that how can we have resilient plan to switch over in such a case. Of course, it's cost effective. It increases efforts, integrations, and investment, but having a failover is a good idea always. And technology has been moving in the trend from AI to blockchain, IoT. All these are making even complicated laws and regulations in place, and having totally complied with all these regulations in all locations. Different countries have different regulations, and all these technologies are global, and businesses opened up worldwide. It's complicated to have all the policies and risk mitigation processes and legal matters addressed to the global level. That's a big risk with these new technologies, I think, because yeah, different regions, different laws, and different influences. So, but on the flip side, new technologies are more efficient. So, with all these things, automation and AI that reduce huge labor costs, because once you have the process in place, when the automation isn't there, your staff can really focus on new perspectives and customer experience and scaling the business. Then optimize energy consumption is one factor of it, but we all know like AI is energy hungry system. but at scale, DeepSeek has changed that perception as well, that it cannot be very expensive. So it is evolving. AI is evolving as well. So DeepSeek may change that pattern and understanding worldwide that like, okay, AI can go cheap as well, and it minimize waste because automation help reduce human errors and increases the speed. So, and then AI, I like AI on the predictive analysis side. It can really tell you based on the past data and market trends and a lot of research based outcome quickly that like what can happen next, and it can predict and give you forecast on the demand side, so you can control your production, and inventory management can be better, and like mitigation financial risks. And cloud computing is a beautiful thing. I think that's a beautiful invention by, I think it's by Amazon. I like cloud computing a lot. With AI, it provides a lot of flexibility, scalable solution, reduce upfront cost. You can start with a free tier and grow slowly as your business grow, and it drive faster ROI. So instead of like having your big stack hardware investment upfront, you can really with cloud technology can manage your business very well to scale. So with all this, as I mentioned, like we have very few one-stop shops on the technology side. It can be very expensive and it can be like very complicated as well with one big contract, and one-stop shops are usually expensive. I like go a la carte because we can manage the best of the best options in the market to create our tech stack. But it comes with a lot of efforts on procurement side, a lot of integrations to do, and then again vendor management, cost management, financials, billing, subscriptions, and then but it does give peace in the large ecosystem because if we don't like something, we can easily switch that instead of like relying on one vendor, one big vendor, and then keep waiting on their feature enhancement and keep chasing on the bug fixes and all that. Like I've been through those challenges with big vendors. So I like a la carte the more because I like having options in front of me. So it gives me flexibility. But yeah, there are definitely pros and cons on all these options. These are preferences and how you are comfortable managing your business and stuff like that. Yes, emerging technologies are very nice, very beautiful, and there are a lot of new ideas coming up.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it's almost like every day you see some sort of new tool popping up now. Probably it's a matter of time before you also see like consolidation of the smaller players by a few of the major players, because it can be quite expensive as well for them to keep maintaining their own software down the road. Because you did mention like DeepSeek, it caught everybody kind of off guard just when they thought that they have seen the best of the Gen AI tools, right? But of course, I read some news that they are not entirely honest as well in terms of the truth on their cost of development. Although I do think their algorithm and the way they make their decision, the decisioning flow is actually pretty impressive, and they're actually quite transparent about how they arrive at the decision, which is what I think most of the AI tools currently lack, that kind of transparency, which people are gradually appreciating. So I think you did point out, I mean, if you're an early adopter, usually early adopters are guinea pigs for sure. And the truth is, they might not always end up with the best tech either, based on the lessons learned. But it's better late than never, really, from a tech and data perspective. Even if you're not, quite ready, but at least, it's good to get onto the bandwagon before it's too late. And there's definitely more reward than risk in the long term. But again, I just want to reiterate that it's key to critical to make sure that you're bringing your people along with you on this journey, even if you're just experimenting with as an early adopter. Or if you really are very risk averse, you just have to look at all the tools that you're using right now. I'm very sure that almost like 90% of them would have some sort of AI already embedded in them. So then that reduces your risk because you're kind of taking on the risk and passing it to the vendors that you're already using. And they would have taken care of that, the hygiene things that they're in, instead of just buying a smaller new tool, for example. And but then for those who kind of really have want to try something new, they want to build something for themselves. Actually, a lot of the major cloud players are already offering support and sort of like a secure environment, a playground or a sandbox, whatever you want to call it, for companies to test their proof of concepts with the AI solutions providers. For example, right now I'm partnering with Neurons Lab, and I know they do a lot with, for example, AWS. And they fund a lot of the proof of concept for companies to experiment up to a certain period using some of their data before they are finally ready to launch something. So because they know that companies want to experiment but might not have the funding, especially if you're like a startup or SME, and you're not quite sure whether you have enough budget or runway to go with it. Because that said, I think companies should keep an open mind, and what's important is also to make sure that you have a lot of diversity in your team that can look at different scenarios differently. Like for example, cybersecurity risk scenarios, cyber attacks. I think diversity is key so that we don't end up being blindsided by things if we all end up seeing things the same way. And make sure that you're asking the right questions when you're working with whatever emerging technology. There's always that hygiene thing that you need to do, like the vendor criteria, the evaluation criteria. How do they fit in from your risk and compliance perspective? What are the processes that they have in place, and what are the guardrails they have in place as well behind that logic? And then what is your fallback plan, like fallback plan A and fallback plan B? Because come on, I mean, even the established tech companies have their own risks, right? If you think about that whole CrowdStrike scenario, and so it's not to say that only emerging tech will have those kind of risks or be prone to such attacks, because we need to look at it more holistically as to who is behind those tech, the right down to the founder's background, their credibility, and then where they are storing the data, um, where are their data centers located, how's the data collected, how is it maintained, and so on. So all these hygiene things should already be there, regardless of whether you're using an emerging tech or old tech. So yeah, I think we kind of need to be objective about it.
I Yeah, I'll touch on your established tech companies that like they are slow on keeping up with the new technologies. I like that
Mm-hmm.
idea you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, and yeah, because like working through those big giant technology companies,
Yeah.
I have also learned
Yeah.
like um,
Yeah.
the decision making process is super slow, and screening vendors, onboarding vendors, implementation, and rollout takes like months. I would rather say like simple integration to rollout takes more than a year.
Mm.
So, and by the time technology changes, because like there's so much innovation going on, like every 3 months there are like very nice and fancy tools keep launching. And an example I heard from one of those companies leader was like big ships take time to turn. That's not
Mm.
really how they can survive, right? Big companies are at risk because of their slow processes. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I have seen like a company adopting a simple chatbot being discussed
Mm.
for 2 years. So this is not right. Big companies should adopt the startup model in a way. I'm not saying like they should really get into startup mode. Startup mode needs startup mode because of like they're small, they are aggressive, they have to compete. Like, but like big customers, big companies have big responsibilities because of the big customers, big revenue model, big investments, and like investors board and everything, right? So, but still, at a lower level, at a team's level, culture can be adopted in a startup fashion, to be more agile, to be more outcome driven, to be more productive, and to speed up the go to market process. So, yeah, that's where, and it's cost effective also in a way, because like if it takes a year to roll out some integration, huge investment, it takes so much money for the year to spend to that launch. That can cut down to 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, whatever the time reduction can be. That is a save a lot of money, right? But again, like yes, things are changing now with AI and all those new technologies and new companies, new vendors. A lot of things are changing on the cost effective side. Great points. So okay, let's move on next. Operational efficiency. In what ways can new technologies automate and enhance operations? As I mentioned, I was talking about AI will take jobs, and it is yes and no. We agree on that. I still feel like not all jobs are replaceable. Not many jobs are replaceable as long as those jobs adopt AI. In my personal routine, I am a big generative AI user. My tax advisor, my professional mentor, my researcher, my assistant, my critic, my content creator, my strategist advisor. I mean, I all of this is in generative AI. Like all of these folks, I would say, are in my computer. So I talk to them, I get ideas, I define and refine my content, and I plan a lot of stuff with these guys within computer. So in a way, like I have one subscription, I have one salary pay line to all these guys, and that's very fixed and little. If I hire all these people in real world, it's gonna be very expensive, and it may not be as efficient as like one subscription. So, and there are more. These are not just the only roles I named that I'm using AI for, but there are even more I am doing using AI. So it increases my efficiency. I mean, as an individual, I can do a lot more without even having trained and educated on these areas. I mean, I can still do a lot using the technology itself with minimum investment. So AI is already changing the way how we have been working. And on the other side, along with AI, robotic process automation capabilities, like it automates repetitive tasks like data entry, invoicing, compliance checks, researches, and and notifications and reporting systems. So, and this is not really a surprise anymore because but these technologies are the game changer in a way. I mean, it's always evolving and it increases efficiencies of all. It wasn't possible a couple of years ago, but now I can multiply my efficiency 10 times using all these things. If I would learn all these things, I'll need more than 1 lakh. But like in the last 1.5 years, it's just an adoption. So I think it, and I know that I'm not as fast learner as others are. I have seen people like have done magic and miracles using this new technology within a year or so. So one thing I really admire because coming from marketing, coming from B2B market, I have seen this challenge across the board that like all these big companies or big industries have a lot of content sitting there and we don't even know. We used to, not anymore using this new technology, but historically we were not as efficient to use all that content that was sitting in our data, that was sitting in our analytics tools and systems, uh, and we had to use tags and metadata manually to index all that content and have uh, hard-coded logics to use that data in different stages of the customer journey cycle. Recently, for last few years, smart tagging have come in place in the market, which has changed the way how we use that all that content. Imagine like Google, all the I mean, it has whole world's data, and that is all indexed. Indexed like what is indexing? Indexing is just the tagging and arranging and organizing the data in multi-dimensional way. So and that is what is happening at all businesses level, all the content management systems. That dynamic and smart tagging is in place. How users are interacting with your content is how your systems are also learning to tag those contents for the future. Okay, so it can be more efficient, it can be more productive and route users to lead gen path. Okay, maximize outcome from that. So I'm a big fan of this smart tagging because it is a lifesaver. It has been a lifesaver for us. Imagine internet is all driven by indexes and metadata. It wasn't possible. See, like Google has nailed it and taught us like how to use tagging at scale. And we give keyword to Google and it gives us like millions of results in microseconds. I'm highly impressed with it. Moreover, on the other side, we're talking a lot about AI. With AI analytics tools, it helps prevent conversion drop-offs because it can give you intent signals of users. It can give you pattern-based understanding. Okay, this path is not right, or this content is not very productive in the conversion path. So we can really detect all those challenge areas and adjust our content journey, customer journey accordingly. Analytics tools also help reduce churn and helping us make go-to-market more optimized and acquire customers more efficiently. So data is not good enough itself unless we know how to use it. And these analytics tools today, talking to listeners, if you want to know the names of such analytics tools, DM me and I'll share details and I can also share how to use those analytics tools to your benefit. But these tools are really very helpful to give you insights, not just metrics, not just graphs and trends, but also can give you insights of like what's been working well versus not, so you can make your business decisions more efficiently.
Mm, yeah. I think it's all about like really efficiency and effectiveness, using it in the right way, not to say totally replaced your need for critical or original thinking. Because when I first started like my own business as well, as being a startup, I appreciate having access to these tools. Especially like now we have all this low code or no code web building platforms. Um, we can actually build our own websites very easily. It helps startups and businesses which are cash or time strapped to do that very easily without, the convoluted, what we call that, the HTML coding, the JavaScript knowledge of the past, right? And also, I tend to use that as well to kind of inspire some of the, if I have a mental block, a creative block, a writer's block, I use that to inspire me in terms of the research as well as the topics. And but then it doesn't, replace my originality in that sense. I use that to help refine some of the points that I want to make. And when it comes to like design, I think it helps with storyboarding. You can use that to make minor corrections off the back of a key visual that's done by a designer. But that said, I don't think having access to all these AI tools, be a design tool or a writing tool, will make somebody like a professional designer or a professional writer in that sense. So I think it's key for especially our younger generation, next generation, to understand the difference and still respect original thinking and critical thinking. Yeah. Then for companies, right, clients that we have been working with a lot, what's coming up is really, like you pointed out, they have so much data, and there's a lot of knowledge sitting around in different pockets and different platforms. And they find that knowledge retention and getting that consolidated knowledge is very hard for them, especially those that are serving clients on the fly or having to deal with clients calling in. So then a lot of them really, they use Gen AI right now to help with deep searching across of their knowledge silos, so that they don't waste so much time trying to find the right answer for the clients. It will also help the customer experience improvement. And I did point out just now about a little bit on the agentic AI side, which I see that it will be a big disruptor because the AI training and correcting itself is part of the process and value chain. It also means that we will see a lot more automated onboarding, automated processes like AI powered KYC, AML processes, smoother onboarding, and so on, which is like an expedition of the RPA or the robotic process automation. But with Gen AI powering it, I think it becomes much more powerful and seamless that way. Yeah, so definitely we'll have to improve a lot on the operations for companies, be it the middle, front, or even back office. I think that is the real impact that we can expect.
Hmm. I don't mean
Yeah.
to put you on spot, Jazz, but do you wanna let me know more about agentic AI? Never heard of this. Maybe I'm a little outdated.
I'm surprised you haven't heard of it yet. Yeah, so basically they're talking about AI agent flow, bringing together different AI agents or LLMs. It can be multi-cloud, it can be multi-LLMs working together on different applications and then connecting them just as we connect data silos. The agents are connecting with another agent and almost like communicating with each other based on the logic that you want to define to see how, for example, let's say onboarding, pre-onboarding is one process. And then after the onboarding, there is the checking, and that might be one process. And then post onboarding is another process. Now with agentic AI, you can connect all three together to happen concurrently so that there's no breaks in between. Because usually right now, if they are all sitting on different applications, they won't really talk to each other as well. But with the agentic AI, it's possible to stitch all this better together. So we are talking about stitching processes together, stitching journeys together, stitching
Yeah.
experiences together.
Mm,
So that I think is
very
quite a
good.
game changer.
Very good. Yeah. I'll research about it tomorrow. The next topic to learn.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Okay. So let's move over to customer experience. How do cutting edge technologies improve customer engagement and satisfaction? Of course, it does. Um, as we all know, like new technologies are typically better than the previous ones. It solves some of the additional problems that's been already there. Uh, so we talk a lot about chatbots as a tool, but it's it's popular as well, and it's worth talking about it um, because whenever you have a question to any business, you go to their website, and if they have a chatbot, you would prefer to talk to it so that like you get your answer. So, and if your chatbots are very well efficient, and this way, you as a customer can get your queries answered instantly. Chatbots can help reduce the time, so your performance improves on the turnaround time resolution, right? And then it also helps reduce labor costs because they are technology driven. So it only takes customer to human support when it's really necessary and or like it doesn't have a resolution itself. So technology really can help solve a lot of problems. And we talked about an example, like I think in the previous episode, that like a company was able to reduce their ticket resolution time by 85% just by introducing new technologies and have their technology driven processes rather than highly dependent on the manpower. So that's really magical. And such technologies can also help customers for better engagement. New technologies, AI, with the blend of integrated customer analysis systems, can rather go beyond just technology and historical data training. Can also sense emotional element of customer interaction, and they can really better engage. Coming from the marketing side, I'll talk about some tools which I have used and I'm aware of, like Sixth Sense, DNB Hoovers, Zoom Info, and there are more. And the list is long. You can always DM me to know more and like their comparison and capabilities. because some tools have different efficiencies than others. But again, like all these use AI algorithms to always tracking internet interactions of the companies in their network. So what does that mean to customers who are in the B2B space? And they want to, customers as in like businesses who want to cater their customers in a better way to improve on their conversion and business development. So by using these tools in their tech stack, businesses can really understand the customers' intent signals, which is very important because if a visitor coming to your website and you know what this person has been researching on the internet and what that person or business needs that you can offer, and because they have already seen you as their potential vendor, so they are coming to your website to research, and you, if you know that they are also researching and you know their intent signal, your personalized digital experience can really target on the spot and hold their hand and get converted right on the spot. So these tools are very nice and beautiful with very rich data with high quality and very highly integrated. So uh, this information is very efficient and useful for tailored messages and personalized experience. And I'm a big executor of personalized digital experience. I'm digital optimization person. So that's why I'm saying like having a holistic customer experience is necessary for all businesses, small or large, doesn't mean anymore because they all are competing in the same market. So even small businesses have multiple channels. They have mobile apps, they have chatbot, they have email marketing going on, they have social media profiles, they have website, and they have campaigns going with the landing pages. So big or large doesn't matter anymore. Every company has same thing. It's just the scale is different, the segments are different. So having that holistic personalized experience definitely a necessary step to businesses at all stages. And these tools, some of these are like not very expensive for small businesses, so definitely should consider that and have that connected experience through all digital channels. Imagine an example like if a person, and I used that example before also, and that's not an abnormal one. See, like if a visitor coming to your website have explored some content and then stop acting on it, your chatbot can immediately uh, ping that person as like a really personalized way to, hey, do you have any questions? You just looked at this content, but again, I think this is more useful for you. And like if still the conversation doesn't get concluded to conversion, an email can be triggered to that person if that person is known to the system, or these integrated third-party tools can give you that information. But still, send that email in a personalized fashion to attract that person. See, all these things are very highly possible using these emerging technologies and engage better with your customers and prospects. And I will take one more example for like Disney have come up with that magic bands and Fast Pass Plus. I mean, it's a little band can go to your wrist and that works as a do all purpose stuff. Like you can use it as like your wallet. You can use it as your ticket and as your prepaid card on different where you can have food. You can buy merchandise there, and like all these things can influence your customer experience in a very different way and very intuitive way. And like it's convenient, so you don't have to carry your wallet, your credit cards in the parts, right? So just have that one band on your wrist, and it's less chance that you will lose it as well because it's on your wrist. So technology is like, and sometimes it really surprises me that like how are they coming with all these ideas? I mean, when they are out, when the ideas are out, it seems very simple. It looks like okay, what's the big deal? But imagine like it wasn't there before. Nobody thought about it, right? So no idea is a small idea, neither does it a big idea. But it is not done until it's done. So, and also like some ideas were invented long before, but not executed correctly. That's another thing. So these players are really have done good job on marketing and using those technologies in a better way than others.
For sure. Maybe they're even inspired by some of the Hollywood movies. that we see in the past. Then they were like, oh wow, maybe we could really do that, and they actually did it. Like airports, for example. We see all those sci-fi movies where you just use facial recognition, and now it's happening at the airports. When I was in Singapore, we already have that, and in Dubai and even in Bangkok as well. It started using a lot of the biometrics initially, and then move on to facial recognition, and we don't even need the fingerprints anymore. We don't even need passports anymore. Once we're registered, we're just connected across the system, across the borders, across the different airports that kind of work with each other that way to recognize certain regions, certain nationalities, and so on. And of course, banks, they're always almost at the forefront of using a lot of these tech nowadays, the biometrics, facial recognition, or voice recognition to try to prevent fraud and scams. Though I think, admittedly, it can be challenging for certain segments of customers. Like, for example, some of the elderly customers here, at least in Singapore, they do struggle to understand how these technology works sometimes. They get a little bit intimidated because it's just so different from what they're used to. They're used to remembering like their PIN, their passwords. So then for them, it becomes a bad experience if you want them to use this technology. So if you look at it that way, sometimes customer experience can be quite subjective, or it is relative to the end user in terms of what they need and how they respond to it and how they are being equipped to use that, versus another segment of customers who might be a bit more open or able to adopt it faster. And then I think importantly is also, let's say if something happens, like they use that technology, but somehow there's a mistake. Take for example, now we have like digital payments. We use a lot of what we call pay now in the region where you just key in the phone number or the business registration number to make payment to a vendor, and then you key in how much money you need to pay them on your mobile app itself, and then it just gets sent through almost instantaneously. So a lot of the elderly, or even not like the younger generation, sometimes they make a mistake. They forget to put like one extra uh, point. So it becomes like they are paying $1,000 instead of $100, and then they just send it, and then that's it. But after that, that is where the customer experience comes in as well. Like, how do you process the refund painlessly for them? That's where I
Mm.
notice usually there is a gap, and there's always a break in the experience. Because while like the providers are happily enabling them with this seamless payment, but the refund is not so seamless, for example. So I think when we talk about all this technology plus experience, it needs to be end to end. It needs to be complete. It cannot just be like halfway, just to be convenient where you want it to be convenient, but not so convenient for the rest of the journey for your customers. Yeah. So and then likewise, I think for you brought up a good point about how personalized messages, these are so meaningful, especially for how retail brands, want to connect with customers, with automated nudges, with reminders, with free things. And then if they can combine that with social listening, just to understand the broader trends, they can curate even more personalized messages. And then, but then you have to go further as well to bring this offline, like the same experience offline in terms of remembering their preference in an offline environment. Like if they visit your store, would your people who are helping you at the store, who are serving them, also remember what they like, what they prefer? And then equip them as well to help them with this, maybe even if it's like a simple iPad, so that they know that, oh, this is the customer coming in, this is a list of their preference, what they have always bought from other stores, the colors, all the way to the kind of coffee or tea they like to drink. It needs to be seamless, online, offline, and then needs to be consistent. And then of course to support your people with the right training so that they are kind of like friendly and customer centric in their approach. Otherwise, you find that there is a gap and there's inconsistency in how you're being treated, and people don't like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me, 3 hours of the customer experience. Uh,
Mm,
yeah, I was watching a YouTube video long ago. Customer experience should be reliable,
mm,
relevant. It resonates, seamless, consistent, and authentic. Uh,
mm, mm.
those
Yeah,
are exactly 3 hours in different words. Yeah,
for sure.
nice. Good conversation, Jazz. Thank you for your ideas. It's really wonderful to have you talking about different topics of the digital maturity. It's pleasure to share the knowledge with you and have your insights as well.
Oh, not at all. The pressure is mine. The pleasure and the pressure.
All
Yeah.
right, and we'll come back with our next topic soon. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Steph.